Okay, so this is, I guess you could say, the second part of Day in the Life vlog. We're back out here at the Audi right now. Gonna continue seeing if we can't figure out why it has lost all coolant without any noticeable leaks. For the most part, everything looks pretty dry under here. I'm gonna have to separate this video into parts so I can flip the camera around. As of right now, there is an appointment to take it to the local Audi dealership to have them diagnose it. They're going to be diagnosing the issue of why we think it's a blown head gasket, which I'll explain here in a minute. They're diagnosing the oil leak that it has, whether or not it's the top, bottom, or the rear seal. They are also going to be diagnosing why the steering is sometimes power assisted and then it's like the pump stops or quits or does something and makes it really hard to steer. Diagnosing why the Sirius XM information stopped getting received. The option actually doesn't even show up on the screen anymore. Diagnosing why the airbag light has been on since the bumper was taken off. Diagnosing the headlight range control defective warning, parking brake malfunction, even while the parking brake works fine. So looking under the hood right now, there's not much evidence that something is really wrong except for it being completely out of coolant and a little grease that looks like it's coming from up around where you put the oil in, but that could just be grease. I will go ahead and flip the camera around to let y'all see, and then we'll flip it back around. No, okay, it's not going to give me the option. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. It is the 3.2. As you can see, it is completely empty. Doesn't really look like there's been much of a leak. Well, there is a little leak down there. We're not sure if it's the oil splattering or coolant. Let's see if we actually open this. It does appear to be completely empty. And as for the oil goes, doesn't really look any milky substance on there, which is good. You can see down in there, it all still looks dark, as it should. So now I'm going to talk about why we suspect a blown head gasket. The other day, right after I got this back from my brother-in-law, we noticed there was some steam and water coming out of the tailpipe, which is normally associated with blown head gaskets. Fortunately, we do not have the stuff to actually test that here at the house. So that's part of the reason why it's going to Audi for them to diagnose it. Like I said, also the oil leak around the oil pan, they're going to be diagnosing that as well. I have a list of things for them to check. Actually, all the issues I pointed out, and some of them, they're just small annoyances. However, figure if I'm going to have it fixed and running in tip-top shape, I might as well have everything fixed at once. I'm probably not going to get it all fixed at once. I'll probably do one thing at a time, slowly but surely. It comes out a little easier that way, not one big lump sum at once. I know for sure they will tell me it needs a battery. The battery that's on it's probably been on it for a while. Out here with the Arizona heat, and right now in monsoon season, the way the temperature fluctuates, it's hard for the batteries to it's hard for the batteries to really keep a full charge like they should, especially when you're not driving them every day. Now, while I'm on the topic of actually issues with the car, I do know that it has a level sensor in the coolant tank. So what I'm going to do is I think I'll put this cap back on. We'll get in the car and see if it says anything about being low on coolant. The tank looked pretty dry, so here's hoping that the sensor is actually working. From what we've been able to tell, the leak is not coming from the tank, so just to clarify that, the only leak that we've noticed has been down on the bottom, but hard to tell if it's the oil or the coolant because they both mix down there and it's really hard to tell which one's leaking from where. So we've got the keys, so let's go ahead, jump in, start it up, and see if it says anything about coolant level being low. Okay, here we are in the Audi. We'll go ahead and start it up.
94.9 Mix FM, the most music.
That's just telling me it's oil change is due. There's that parking brake malfunction. The headlight range control. And the next one, if it really is low on coolant, should be that. But it is not saying anything about being low on coolant, which leads me to believe either the sensor is inoperative or alright, so here's hoping the sensor's not broken. One more issue that I failed to mention would actually be getting the sunshade fixed. I do have the new one ready to put in. The previous owner of this particular Q5, I guess I know in Audi it is actually a common issue for them to sag and become detached and everything, and I guess it started to do that and they actually just ripped it out. So I have the new one ready to be installed, just have to get it installed. Before I forget, one more issue that we have noticed is actually with the radiator fans. They will kick in, not even 10 seconds later, they kick right back off. They do not stay on. So they're also going to be diagnosing that as well. I have a complete full jug of coolant in the car because I have to drive from Nogales, Arizona back up to Tucson, which is about 68 to 70 miles. That's the closest dealership actually. So I'm going to be heading up that way Monday morning. I believe they told me I have to have this dropped off at 8 o'clock, which is fine. You know, wake up a little early, get it sent in, no big deal. One more issue actually is if I go ahead and lock it, the driver door does not lock anymore. And I am hitting the lock button. And so that's one issue that we also need to get fixed. Safety is definitely a bit of a priority. So yeah, right now those are all the issues that's actually going on with this since we've gotten it back from my brother-in-law. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead, open up the tank again, finish topping it off with the rest of the coolant bottle that I have here that's opened, and just kind of keep an eye on it. I don't plan on driving this anywhere until Monday morning. I drove it last night to go pick up the coolant, and it still was about halfway full, so it's obviously leaking very quickly. Have the violet 50/50, which is what it calls for 2007 and newer Audis, actually. The older ones will use the pink. We'll just see. Go ahead and top it off. There we go. That put it up at the minimum line, which is good. I'd prefer it to be at max, but I will settle for minimum because I will top it off Sunday morning before I leave the house. Monday. No, I will top it off Sunday night or evening. That way Monday morning, all I have to do is wake up at 6 o'clock, get dressed, get ready, maybe eat a little breakfast, and head up to Tucson to Audi to drop this off and pick up the loaner. Besides that, there was no other issues with the car when I had it. The only issues I had was, on occasion, yes, the driver's door would not lock like what I showed. Other than that, the biggest issue for right now is the oil leak, the radiator fans, and the coolant. The Sirius XM not showing up and the door lock I can live with for a little bit longer, but I do prefer to have those fixed. Other than that, there's no other issues right now. Well, fingers crossed. I do not know how long it's actually going to be setting up their Audi. I don't know how long it will be before they can get to it. I'm assuming because they're arranging a loaner car for me, it's going to be a while. I know that they were backed up last time I did talk to them. So it's going to be the waiting game for a few days until we find out for sure what's going on with it. I already know it's going to be a couple of grand to get it fixed. Okay. And from what I was told, my brother-in-law will not pay to fix it. So per the contract that we drafted when we arranged for him to take the car, it was violated. Therefore, we'll pay for it. I'm paying for the diagnostics. So really and truly, it's just a matter of the dealership telling me what's wrong and seeing whether or not I want them to replace it or what I plan on doing. The only things I've actually noticed when it comes to the blown head gasket situation, if that's what it is, because I know I'll probably get a comment or two saying, well, if it's a blown head gasket, it will overheat. Yes, and in fact, it has overheated. However, it only tends to overheat when it's sitting still. Driving down the road, I haven't noticed it overheating. Can use the air conditioner, no problem. Setting still, the air conditioner starts blowing hot air. The radiator fans, like I said, they're not staying on. So I'm going to assume the overheating is part of that. I'm hoping that's what it is. Again, there's no actual guarantee until I get it into the dealership. But I know between the battery, radiator fans, the oil leak, let's say if it is a blown head gasket, just the mechanical stuff that could actually cause potential driving hazards. If I know them from last time I took this in for service, it will be over $1,000, which I also know my brother-in-law does not have. So, once they give me the itemized list of everything that's wrong, I do plan on doing some of the work at home. What I can do, of course, if it's if it's just the radiator fan, I can obviously do that at home. Just a matter of removing the shroud, unplugging the fan, unbolting everything, getting it out. I've already had the front bumper off the car. We still need to get the sunshade. That's cosmetic. It needs a paint touch-up on the right side. Again, that's cosmetic. There is a few of the problems that is cosmetic. I'm not going to worry too much about them. It does actually look like it's starting to cloud up. But anyway, that's the gist of everything that's going on. And I will post an update on this as soon as I have one.